trying to go.
Hey everybody, it's the Brewmaster here. If this is your first time to the channel, then welcome. And for you over 7,000 practitioners of good taste, hey, it's great to see you again. Today, I present to you another series of stories which are more like links. And with each one of these links, I'll be revealing to you the chain of events that has led Hasbro to the sorry state it now finds itself in. Now, if you're interested in the gaming industry like me, and if you click this video, then I suspect you may be, then you've likely already heard about the OGL scandal where the company behind D&D, Hasbro, attempted to stab its community in the back and steal the livelihoods away from thousands of creators in one fell swoop, a move that has ultimately resulted in Hasbro shooting themselves in both feet as its largest and most prolific content creators, from the Dungeon Coach to Critical Role, have completely moved away from D&D. The OGL scandal has had sweeping and resounding rippling effects that has impacted D&D 2024 a whole 2 years later. But wait, aren't the D&D 2024 books the best-selling books of D&D ever so far, even outselling Tasha's Cauldron? Well, it's not so simple, and as controversies mount surrounding WotC and their treatment of their own employees, firing a bunch more after what was claimed to be a successful launch of the 2024 edition, and as more layoffs mount, there is a growing concern for the future quality of D&D products. Because really anyone with two functioning brain cells can rub them together and get enough friction to figure out that being a large and complex game, which is what D&D is, it's going to be worse off when you fire the lead artists and designers and replace them with AI. Oh yeah, that's right, that futuristic cyberpunk dystopia where artists have all of their artwork stolen by AI and then are actually replaced by that AI. Yeah, that future is our present. That time is upon us, as Hasbro has confirmed that it has already been using AI all along, which is, something that we really already knew because they were caught using AI artwork in Magic the Gathering and lying about it. But not only are they using AI, but they plan on using AI to generate your future D&D content. And no one can ignore the timing of this announcement and how it coincides with the latest round of layoffs for D&D creatives at Wizards of the Coast. So I'll let you tell me in the comments below if you think that firing the majority of WotC and replacing them with AI will produce better D&D products in the future. Do you think that it's ethical to fire an artist that's worked for you for 5 to 10 years, take all of their artwork, train your AI on it, and then release AI artwork in that artist's style and not paying them anything else in the future? Is D&D better off or worse off for this move by Hasbro? You let me know in the comments. But the community as a whole has rallied against this, stating that they want games to be made by real humans. And sidebar, I just gotta say, what a world that we live in where we're really talking about whether or not AI should replace human workers. This has always been the shit of science fiction, in my mind. And here we are, even kicking around the idea of giving AI constitutional rights. But moving on, Hasbro has continued to burn up all their goodwill with their consumers and with genuine lovers of the game. And as D&D slowly transforms into an online-only, AI-generated, subscription-based live service, hardcore lovers of D&D and just TTRPG hobbyists as a whole have started to deem Hasbro and D&D in general as an enemy to the TTRPG hobby. This has culminated in a record low interest in the D&D brand, evidenced by the algorithmic decline in the success of D&D related content on YouTube and TikTok. But what about D&D 2024, the player handbook being the best-selling D&D book of all time, eclipsing even Tasha's Cauldron? Well, no. As Roll for Combat explains.
So is this press release factual? The answer is yes. However, as someone who's been working in PR for 31 years, I can tell you how this was written was very careful. It's the fastest selling D&D product ever. And then they also said here that this is the biggest product launch. They didn't say hardcover book. They didn't say, oh, player's handbook. They did a lot as inference. Because what is a product? Well, it's whatever they want it to be, because it's a very generic term. If they want to say, does the product include all of their sales at Gen Con, the 3,000 books they sold there, plus the pre-sales, plus all their digital sales, plus this bundle, plus Foundry, plus Roll20, plus every other digital platform, plus all the pre-sales at all the flags. If they want to take every single nook and cranny and combine that into the word product, the answer is yes, they can, because those are all related. So they're very careful to always call this a product. Every single combination of any aspect of the player's handbook that you can find in the world, combine it into the sales, and then we'll go from there.
And even Professor Dungeon Master has pointed out Hasbro's use of cloaked language.
So how many copies did Tasha's Cauldron of Everything sell? In its first week, 133,000 copies, and it topped out at 380,000 copies over its entire 4-year run. BookScan counts all the physical sales from big chains like Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, and Amazon.com, and over a dozen more. And according to BookScan, the new Player's Handbook sold 3,773 copies in its first week. If you look on Amazon.com, you're not going to find the Player's Handbook on any of its bestseller charts. Look at the number of reviews for the Player's Handbook. Just 69? Dragonbane has 100. So where is it being sold? It's being sold online at D&D Beyond. Let's check it out. You can buy the Player's Handbook with a digital copy for just $10 extra. Now here's the question. If you buy the digital bundle, does that count as one Player's Handbook sold or two? Nobody knows. I don't know. And you don't know. Wizards doesn't claim the Player's Handbook is the best-selling D&D book in the history of the game. What they said was it's the best-selling product in the history of the game. Is a digital download a book or a product? Again, only Wizards knows. Like the Wizard of Oz, the Wizards of Seattle do not want you to see behind the curtain.
So how much of D&D 2024's success comes from the people actually buying and playing the rules themselves? That will remain a mystery. But it stands to reason that if D&D 2024 was the best-selling version of the game, Hasbro would be shouting that to the mountaintops. The fact that they literally won't do that, and the fact that they're resorting to this sort of duplicitous language, strongly suggests that not everything is sunshine and roses behind that smokescreen. And since Hasbro has repeatedly proven themselves to be an unreliable source, well, in order to actually get information as to what's happening, we have to turn to you. We have to turn to you, the audience. Now, looking at a poll done by Bob Worldbuilder, we can see that of the 9,000 people who responded to his poll asking, simply who's playing D&D 2024, only 13% of his total voters are currently playing the new rules, with 26% planning on playing in the future, which, dear viewer, means that they are not actually playing. So that means 13% of people are actually playing the 2024 rules, while 87% are not. And of that 87%, an overwhelming 61% are on the fence or just not interested at all. And I even did my own poll. It's obviously going to be a much smaller sample size. I got 60 votes. But of that 60 votes, only 15% are actually playing D&D, which is very close to the 13% seen in Bob's poll. 85% of you are not playing D&D 2024, and of that 85%, an overwhelming 67% have no interest in playing at all, which is very close again to the 61% seen in Bob's poll. So the community has spoken. You all have spoken, and I trust all of you much more than I trust Hasbro saying that D&D 2024 is the best-selling product of all time. And Hasbro's desperation to make money off of this floundering edition of D&D might be seen in their partnership with the gambling company Games Global, known for its prolific internet casinos, also known as iGaming. Or, as Dungeons in Discourse so aptly states,
Hasbro have just now decided to simply sell out Dungeons and Dragons to a massive gambling company for 2025. And no, I'm not kidding. And this prompts the question, how far are Hasbro willing to go to save their bottom line? And it seems the answer is very fucking far. So how the hell did we get here? It's a business model called Blueprint 2.0, and now they are partnering with a company called Games Global to bring the online gambling world to Dungeons and Dragons and, quote, tap into the global fan base. Well, Games Global are a leading company in what is called iGaming. And you might have heard of iGaming before because it has been responsible for a huge surge in gambling addicts over the last 5 years. Basically, imagine the seediest casino in existence where no one tells you no, and in fact actively call you up to get you to play more every single day. And it's also in your living room, so you can never escape or get away. Have fun.
And so yeah, this move of turning D&D into a gambling IP, possibly even using D&D Beyond to do so, have left many lovers of D&D asking Hasbro,
What are you doing?
Making a mistake.
Making a mistake.
The issue is that Hasbro has been identified as a Grinch in Santa's clothing. Yeah, they pretend like they're there to deliver fun and games. Really, they're there to take as much away from you as possible. And the ire that is being felt toward Hasbro has spilled over into the boardroom as even investors mount a class action lawsuit. Keep your eyes and your ears open, because I've seen a couple channels, not to be named, that are basically suggesting that the reason why Hasbro is being sued is because of 2024 ED&D. This is false. That's not true. Hasbro is being sued by its investors for misleading and lying to them in 2022 to 2023, which is before 2024's D&D has come out. More specifically, we can see.
After dismal holiday sales, toy manufacturer Hasbro left investors holding a lump of coal. When investors quickly dumped their shares, Hasbro's stock plummeted 11% overnight. During the early stages of the COVID pandemic, Hasbro loaded up on inventory due to increased demand for at-home activities. But the company overbought and was left with warehouses full of unwanted games and toys. However, Hasbro executives assured investors these extra toys were actually in anticipation of the 2022 holiday season. In reality, demand for Hasbro's products had diminished. Stunned investors quickly sold off their Hasbro shares, causing the stock's price to freefall. Now, some of those shareholders are signing up for the class action lawsuit.
But the ever-spiffy Professor Dungeon Master gives a more layman's explanation of what this means, while highlighting how nefarious Hasbro really is.
Still, another stat is management effectiveness, which has a subskill called return on equity, which is negative 36.22% for the year. That means if you invested that hypothetical $10,000 in Hasbro last year, you'd be sitting on about $6,400 now.
Ouch, that stings.
It does. Their argument is they did their due diligence, their research, based on the information that Hasbro put out in their quarterly earnings reports, and they assumed that information was accurate. And they're alleging that Hasbro said, we have this inventory, but that's because our products are in high demand, when in fact the inventory was building up because no one wanted to buy their toys.
So, in other words, the bill has come due for their past sins, cheating their own investors, and with hindsight now, it's going to be clear to everybody what the changes to the OGL were really about. That was about bringing money back into the coffers of Hasbro. Their sales were so bad in the holiday season of 2022, they had to lie to their investors, and now those same investors are suing them. And in the beginning of 2023, that's when we see the changes to the OGL, as Hasbro tries to basically further monetize their only real profitable IP that they still have left in their portfolio. And had Hasbro had their way, they would have been able to retroactively collect payment from anyone who has ever published anything under the OGL, while simultaneously locking out the entire community from making future content, unless they were going to be okay with WotC using that content for free and paying them nothing. With this new information that's come out with the investor lawsuit, we know now there's basically a 0% chance that their failure in 2022 had nothing to do with, 2023 and their attempt to shore up D&D with the OGL. Of course, they're related. Now, I've seen some celebration on the internet behind Hasbro being sued, people jumping behind the investors like, yeah, stick it to Hasbro. But I do want to point out a couple things. Hasbro has continuously proven to be anti-consumer over the last 5 years to a decade, and plenty of investors still bought stock in 2023. Fully aware of the changes that they were going to make to the OGL, which would have put thousands of content creators in dire straits. These are the same investors that were also okay buying stock in a company that publicly milks their employees for all they're worth and then fires them to replace them with AI as if they're nothing. So if you did your due diligence, it can be assumed that you are aware of Hasbro's underhanded tactics, and yet you still get into bed with them. How can you feign surprise that this mega corporation uses the same underhanded tactics against you? And it's so funny that investors tend to be okay putting their money in this company so long as it's just the customer getting screwed. You know, if you and me are getting screwed, that's fine. If RPG creators or even their own employees are getting screwed, oh, whatever, that's cool. But as soon as their money gets impacted, oh, now it's time to sue. Now it's time to go to court, and oh, woe is us. So anyone could have seen this coming. Really, anyone could have seen this coming. When you get in bed and you lie down with folks doing bad business, you get up with fleas. So while I don't doubt that there may have been a few people genuinely impacted, I'm not for people losing their pension and stuff like that. But it's hard for me to cry over millionaires losing more money than I'll ever see in my lifetime. But this leads me to the real victims of all of this, which is the community. That's you. That's me. Do we really believe in a world where Hasbro only has a fraction of the workforce, in a world where we're paying a monthly subscription to access all of our D&D notes, and in a world where the majority of the module content, the future content that comes out, is going to be generated by AI? Do we really think that that's going to result in us getting a better game, even though we're going to be paying more to play this game? And if you're on YouTube watching videos like this, then this also impacts the YouTube creators that you love, because overall interest in D&D is suffering because Hasbro has so effectively and so thoroughly damaged their own brand. That means that channels that rely on interest in D&D are all taking a massive hit right now. I challenge you, go to any of your favorite D&D creators and see what their views have been like lately. In all honesty, have you even been watching their videos lately? If the algorithm statistics are anything to go by, then statistically speaking, the answer is going to be no. No, you haven't been watching their content the way that you used to. And it's gotten so bad that many YouTube creators, TikTok creators, are literally walking away from content creation.
So YouTube, in all of their financial money-grabbing business approach, and I can't blame them for it, said to me, right, your channel is going to be shunted off into oblivion, which was where so many channels disappear to that we don't remember them. They just forget and fade into the past. So your channel's being shunted off. It will still remain on YouTube, and it will still be accessible and still be able to be found. But it will no longer be presented to new folks. That's basically the bottom line. So it is what it is. It has been fabulous. I say thank you to you once again. And until next time, on a different channel, I just want to say, happy gaming.
So yeah, the writing is on the wall, my friends. The massive wave of D&D that a lot of us rode in on, yeah, that has peaked and is on its way down. That's inevitable. Hasbro themselves has single-handedly killed momentum for this franchise. Critical Role has walked away. Matt Colvin has walked away. Questing Beast has walked away. The Dungeon Coach has walked away. And the future of D&D is one of a digital subscription, where you can even go and gamble in an online casino, where WotC is operating on a skeleton crew, and where D&D adventures, monsters, artwork, modules, those are all churned out by AI bots. And you tell me, dear viewer, if that's the future that you're gonna stick around for. So yeah, Hasbro has made their bed, and just like so many gaming companies trying and failing to push live service AI slop onto its community, it's a bed that they're now gonna have to lie in. But this is where all of you come in, because the revolution is now. Now is the time to branch out and try those new games. It seems like Hasbro has done everything in their power to turn D&D into the McDonald's fast food option of TTRPGs, you know, that $15 Big Mac that everybody knows is not worth the money and is nowhere near good enough to justify the price. But for the same price, or for even cheaper, an absolute smorgasbord of game choices is out there waiting for you to find and to fall in love with. When one door closes, another door opens, and it's impossible to build without first destroying. So while this may be the end of Hasbro's D&D, take heart, dear viewer, because the TTRPG renaissance has only just begun. But if you like what you heard, then please do like and subscribe, and please support the Patreon. You know, contrary to popular belief, I don't make any money from YouTube. 2.5 years on this channel, and I've made like $320 total. So if you actually want to help us come out with more content on a more regular basis, then joining the Patreon is definitely the way to do that. For $5, you get some monthly content, you get a shout out on the video, and of course, you get my everlasting undying gratitude. And if you want to play at my table, especially if you want to play something that's not D&D, I play D&D too, but if you want to play something that's not D&D, go ahead, shoot me a message, or find me on Start Playing Games, where you'll find me running a whole host of badass TTRPGs for lovers of dice rolling. So if you've been wondering why D&D 2024 is so popular, but you're still having trouble finding anybody to play it with, well, now you know. Hopefully this video puts you up to speed, helped you get back in the loop. Now for more things related to news, game reviews, TTRPG discussion, and of course, GM advice, stay tuned right here on Encounter. And actually, I have a review of the Dishonored game coming up. This is, man, Modifius was cooking with this. So I'm gonna get into this and how fantastic of a game this is. So if that sounds like your jam and you are interested in learning some other, indie games or just other TTRPGs that are deserving of your time, your money, your energy, your effort, then stay tuned right here on Encounter. Until then, though, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see all of you in the next one.